I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now today we're reading from the book of Ephesians, chapter 3, and let's focus on verses 3 through 7. By reading this, you are able to understand my insight about the mystery of the Messiah. And this was not made known to people in other generations, as it is now being revealed to his holy apostles and his prophets by the Spirit. The Gentiles are co-heirs, members of the same body, and partners of the promise in the Messiah Jesus through the gospel. I was made a servant of this gospel by the gift of God's grace that was given to me by the working of his power. Now, suppose your neighborhood is hassled by some street gang where all their members are from the same ethnicity, and they extort money and they terrorize your family. It's really bad. And this gang's corruption has even infiltrated the government. There's nobody to call for help. And now suppose that this gang's terror has been going on for several generations, and then a prejudice of hatred has grown among your community against everyone of this gang's ethnicity. Your only hope is that you've been taught to believe that someday God would send a deliverer who would stop the terror. And your whole life's plea to God is enjoined with that of generations past, just crying out, "Save us from these people." And finally, in his perfect timing, God responds to those prayers, and he sends the promised deliverer. And now you're thinking, okay, well, now these people are going to be crushed. But instead of destroying and publicly humiliating all the members of that gang's ethnic community, your deliverer has other plans. He decides to atone for their sins and to offer them grace and forgiveness if they would believe and receive his atonement by faith. So how would that make you feel? I bet your answer is pretty close to what a lot of Jews were feeling when they learned that the Messiah came first to atone for sin and to offer salvation to all men everywhere before he returns to judge and punish the world's sin. You see, Jesus identified that the real problem in the world was not primarily its different people groups. The problem was how sin had affected those cultures. And he understood that sin had infected both the Jewish and all the Gentile cultures. Thus, Jesus did not elevate any people group above another with regard to their need for atonement or their accessibility of salvation to anyone who wants it. He came to wipe the slate clean for all, so to speak, and to give everyone a choice for a new start. And this was so that by God's grace and the Spirit's enabling, all ethnicities could glorify him together. Now, I can relate to how the Jewish leaders felt when Jesus spoke of a good Samaritan, and then he commanded to love your neighbor as yourself. I can also identify with the prejudice that Paul faced when he asserted that the mystery of the Old Testament prophets was all of us Jews need atonement right alongside all the Gentiles, and we can both receive it. And that is the gospel today. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever would believe it would not perish, but have everlasting life. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. You know, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people just like you. And yes, we need your monthly support now more than ever. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know another way to help? Just tell people about Groundworks Ministries. Spread the news. Share these podcasts with friends and family. Share them on your social media. Of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.